You found yourself on another episode of Locked on Bulls. On today's episode, we're going to ask the question, is Zach LaVine more clutch than what some Bulls fans realize? We're also going to talk about Dalen Terry's development and why it could be important for the Chicago Bulls season next year, and which Chicago Bears player is the best baller. We're going to get into all that and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Birddogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA, and when you enter promo code LockedOnNBA, they'll throw in a free custom Birddogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages. Oh, I forgot. And Pat, the host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. You never forget that. Let's go ahead and get into the topics for today, brother. Zach LaVine. A statistic came out today where it showed the most clutch players in the NBA against each team, and Zach LaVine was represented on there quite a bit. I know we often think about Zach LaVine and the mistakes he makes down the stretches of games, specifically with ball handling, some of the untimely turnovers that really do hurt the Bulls at times. What did seeing this graphic and the amount of clutch shots that Zach LaVine actually has hit against these teams, what did that do for you?
It didn't surprise me because of what clutch is. At this point in the NBA, right? Like clutch used to be the last 2 minutes of a game. Now it's the last 5 minutes of a game with 5 points.
It, right?
At a certain point, clutch is just going to be the entire fourth quarter. Anybody that makes a bucket within 5 points. What it tells me is that the Chicago Bulls have had a lot of times that they were within 1 or 2 points of winning the game or losing the game. And unfortunately, more times than not, they've been on the losing side of that. So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me, right? We've seen Zach LaVine go off in back and forth games. We've seen him be a big catalyst to a lot of teams. The team that exactly when it popped up, I was like, yeah, I can think of like probably 4 or 5 times that Zach LaVine has been clutch in those moments. Is the Atlanta Hawks. It's the first team that's on the board. The hilarious part about the Atlanta Hawks is Trae Young's most clutch team is the Chicago Bulls. So it literally just tells the story of what we've been seeing over the years, back and forth. I mean, over the last, 3-4 years, we've probably seen multiple overtime games with the Atlanta Hawks. We've seen game winners from both sides. We've seen, I mean, like, there's been a ton
every game we played against the Atlanta Hawks this past season, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 of them came to last second buckets, and then 1 of them was extremely close down the stretch. So
I think all 4 of them, we played them 3 or 4 times.
It was either 3 or 4.
One of them, but I know the rookie beat us.
Yes.
And DeJounte Murray beat us. And then Ayo beat them one time. And those are the 3 that I remember.
I forgot about the Ayo one. You're right.
Ayo got a tip in. All of them, right? Very last second.
That was the time that we were celebrating on top of John Collins. Remember that?
Yes.
Because he landed on top of John Collins. And it was just all the Bulls players and John Collins at the bottom of the pile like, hey, man, I didn't win this game. Can you guys please get up off me?
Man, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was tough. I mean, I haven't seen somebody on top of somebody like that since
Zion. And porn star.
I'm just saying, I've heard that the video's out there. But I think that at the end of the day, it does just show that, here's the thing, Zach LaVine is not a bad basketball player, but I think there's a lot of times where, to me, you could look at this list positively. This doesn't mean you won the game. This means you scored a lot of buckets towards the end. To me, I kind of look at this list as he's good enough to keep us in the game, but either he and or the team around him hasn't been good enough to get us enough wins. I mean, we think about Zach being clutch even when the Bulls were awful. He still had those clutch moments.
Yeah. This is a good point. Yeah, I think Zach, and I get it. And I always say this, when you're close to a team and you follow that same team day in and day out, you're always going to either overvalue or undervalue a player. It just happens. It just is what it is when you're that close to a team. And I think that Zach has come up with clutch buckets. It's maybe not the game winners, right? I think if you look at clutch the way that me and you grew up on clutch baskets, we have a completely different perspective in that case, right? But by this metric, he's absolutely been clutch, but he needs to grow, right? We know that Zach LaVine needs to grow in those moments. He needs to make better decisions down those moments and not turn over the ball as much at times with that ball handling. But again, as we've seen, a lot of that goes away also when you have a damn point guard next to your shooting guard.
It helps.
Yeah,
it definitely helps. So I think that I guess this is a metric that can make you feel good about what Zach LaVine can be and what this team can do. But I don't think that this is a end-all be-all stat because, I mean, like you said, at one point it was 10 seconds. And then it was like 2 minutes, which, okay, 2 minutes I get, right? 2 minutes, you can go back and forth. There's a lot of timeouts. 2 minutes in the NBA used to take like an hour and a half. Like legit. Like it was so long.
People would be like, it's the last 2 minutes of the game. You'd be like, all right, bet I got enough time to make a sandwich, balance my checkbook, and maybe take a nap still on top of
Bro, for real. Like 2 minutes used to be a solid 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But now it's the last 5 minutes of the game. So yeah, it sounds great. It looks great. But what this tells me is that, there needs to be a lot more team building. What it tells me is what we've been saying. There needs to be a lot more team building, that this Bulls team isn't, I guess if I look at it from a glass half full perspective, you're not that far away from being on the winning side of all of those one-score games. And you were very good in those games versus the best teams in the NBA. But you were still on the losing side of those one-score games. You got to find that guy.
When you look at this Bulls roster, have you seen anything from anyone that you feel that they could develop that clutch gene themselves? Of course, Zach DeMar. Have you seen enough from a Kobe? Have you seen enough from a P. Will that you think he could maybe develop that? Have you seen like anybody? Carlik Jones, I don't know.
Carlik Jones. I think that I think I've seen enough from a bunch of different players. I think the Bulls do a good job coming together in moments like
defensively
that.
Specifically.
I think that I haven't seen it from the coaching aspect of Billy Donovan. And that's where a lot of times we come out of games where, a lot of our debates are, you feel that, Billy Donovan should have made a play better. I feel like the player should have run a play better. At the end of the day, it comes down to execution. And neither side's execution is good enough, which does in the end fall back on the coaching staff for not having the players executing this play well enough. I mean, how many times last season are we talking about an out of bounds play where we're sitting here looking at the end of the day and the Bulls are on the losing end because DeMar DeRozan didn't run to the right spot, or because, somebody didn't set a screen the right way, or because like these are the things that coaching should be fixing before we get into the game. Yeah, yes, it's great to have a game plan in it. So I think, to me, when I look at the end results, the clutch gene, somebody developing that, I've seen Kobe get hot in the fourth quarter. I've seen DeMar be hot. I've seen Patrick Williams, turn into the guy that goes off for 10 points in a quarter. All of a sudden, you're like, where the heck's this guy been all game? But I haven't seen the coaches stick with that guy. I've seen Vooch do it, but you got to stick with that guy.
Yeah. That's a great point, is how coaching affects things like that, because you're right. I mean, there's times we can't even get the balls inbounded in clutch moments, right? Like that's a huge problem as well. That's why, watching Coach James Wade, which is the coach of Chicago Sky, how he coaches in the last 2 minutes of a game, it just made me realize, like, hey, Billy, come on, bro.
He's by far the best coach in Chicago.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like, what he's doing right now, now granted, listen, he's got players that can actually run the plays. That does help. But I mean, man, like just the execution of, right, like, okay, this is going to be what I love about James Wade's plays, and this is such an off topic with the podcast we're doing, but his off ball action is just as good as what's happening on the ball. Like how he's setting people up to make a play or to be the backup option or to be able to cut down or whatever it is, backdoors, whatever it is so much better than trying to move past back door, and then you come up with around the rim.
You should have known I was never gonna let you get past that. I wasn't gonna let you do it, bro.
We gotta move on to this next time.
We gotta move on. It's time to move on.
We stay on around the rim. We back to yesterday with
Zion Williamson and porn stars.
Those tweets was crazy. 18 tweets, man.
Those tweets were wild, bro. All right, next we're going to talk about Dalen Terry and what he's doing for his development this summer. Before we do that, I got to talk to you guys about one of our sponsors, and that's Birddogs. And I can't stress enough. I know we're doing an ad read, but honestly, Birddogs are probably one of the most comfortable pair of shorts I've ever worn, bro. Like around the house to go on my walk and jogs with, because I'm trying to stop being fat. There's a lot of things going around with it. Birddogs really do. They're comfortable. They can fit. You can wear them in a bevy of different type of situations. They even have some where you can get the liner inside and use them as your swim trunks. You can keep it going. Go right from the workout in the gym right to the pool. Same shorts. So you guys gotta go check out Birddogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA and the promo code LockedOn for a free Yeti style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA for a free Yeti style tumbler. You don't want to take your Birddogs off. We promise you. All right. That's what it says.
As long as y'all wearing drawers.
The liners do not replace the draws, people.
Bro.
But make sure you are wearing the draws.
Please wear drawers.
Please wear draws. The cock burns in this mug.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Kofi, what are you doing here?
Kofi, what are you doing here? So Dalen Terry's been seen working out with Harrison Barnes. He's also already been seen working out with DeMar DeRozan's dribbling coach. On top of that, this is following last offseason where we saw Dalen Terry work with Paul George. We saw him pop up working with it was another player he was working with as well. But he put himself around a lot of veteran players last offseason, which is surprising because usually you don't see rookies come in and be able to work out with some vets, especially if they're not on their team. Working out with Harrison Barnes this summer, I'm going to ask you this, Pat. How important do you think Dalen Terry's development is in the role that he could have for the Chicago Bulls next season?
I've told y'all, listen, the one thing that the Bulls need that the Bulls didn't have last season was somebody the second they step on the court, they make an impact. Mm-hmm. That's what we wanted Patrick Williams to be. That's what we wanted Zach LaVine to be at times last season, although he was working through the injury. It's what we wanted DeMar DeRozan to be. There wasn't that guy where you were like, the second the ball hits his hand, I know what's good. Well, I guess DeMar a little bit. More so DeMar than anybody. But we have that guy, or at least I feel like we have that guy with Dalen Terry, where is he a little OC maybe? Is he a little bit just too hungry at times? Yeah, for sure, 100%. But every time Dalen Terry got on the court, he was trying to make a steal, trying to shoot the ball. Now, he was shooting anything that touched his hands. I will say that. But he was trying to get people involved, facilitating the ball, making the passing plays, doing and that to me is when I look at a guy that's doing that to me tells me you have at least the attributes, the traits of a guy who can make an impact on the court and who can, all we got to do is refine the basketball skills that are already there and are pretty good. I mean, listen, this guy was the 18th overall pick.
Yeah.
It's not like he was the second pick or a second round pick at the end of the draft. He was the 18th overall pick. There's a little bit of an expectation here. At a minimum, get on the court. I don't understand the Bulls' mindset with a lot of these young players. I just don't. It does feel like the stash and grab, keep this guy here. He's young. We'll develop him, and then we'll put him in this position. I think that Dalen Terry has an ability to be the facilitator that the Bulls need and could turn himself into the leader that the Bulls need if you give him the playing time. Because I think Dalen's going to be one of those guys that once he's on the court and he's got some playing time, he's going to talk.
Yeah.
He's going to run his mouth. He's
sure.
going to sit there and tell the best player on the team, hey, yo, why you ain't shoot that? And when the player says, shut up, he going to be like, no, why you ain't shoot that?
Yeah.
He just has that kind of personality. And I think that's when we talk about things that the Bulls are missing, that's the number one thing to me that the Bulls are missing.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, leadership, vocality, there's a lot of things those are the type of things that we're missing from the team the most that we desperately need. And I think when you, to your point, when you look at Dalen, it seems like he's going to have a lot of, even like him last season. I know he was a glorified, basically, mascot for the Bulls, but he was always there trying to get the crowd involved, getting the players involved, hyping people up when they came to the bench. He was there. He was the first person to come out and celebrate with players when they hit big shots.
Yeah.
And so you see that, the making of that in Dalen. And I love Dalen's outgoing personality because I think that's going to take him far. But also, to your point earlier, he didn't hesitate on taking shots. He was, even when he shouldn't have taken them, he did not hesitate. And while you want him to show more discernment over the shots that he takes, I love the fact that this kid doesn't shy away from it. We're talking about a player in Pat Williams who has been passive up until this point in his career. We hope he's going to be able to come out of it. But at the end of the day, I don't have that concern with Dalen. My biggest thing with Dalen is, can Dalen get on the court? Can he contain the energy enough to not get in foul trouble? And then how does he start refining the game afterwards? But once Dalen starts building that confidence in his shot and his abilities against these NBA players, I have no doubts in my mind he's going to take some shots that we may collectively like, no. Oh, it went in. Yes.
And this may sound dumb, right? Which I guess won't be the first time something said on this podcast that sounded dumb. But this may sound dumb, but realistically, Dalen was the best at his role. The role that they made Dalen play last year was you go down to the G League, and Dalen asked for that, right? So he could get a little more acclimated to the system. Go down to the G League, figure out what your role is. We'll try and bring you up here. We'll work you out. But more than likely, you're going to be sitting on this bench just getting the experience. His role was to be the hype guy. His role was to be the bench guy. His role was to be the guy that's getting the crowd involved, be excited. He was great at it. And that might be the fan in me looking too deep in what's happening and all that, blah, blah, blah. I'll give you that 100%. But I just think that when you see a guy that takes on even the smallest level of role like that, you have to give him at least the opportunity. And again, I'll fall back on this every time. It's not like he's at the end of the draft. He's the 18th pick. He's played the least amount of minutes that any 18th overall pick has ever played in NBA history. How's that even possible?
Welcome to the Chicago Bulls, bro. That's all I can say on that one. But yeah, like Dalen has been the things that he's been asked to do. To your point, he's done well in. The fact of the matter is we just need to ask him to do more, and I think that it's coming. I think when you look at a team that as of right now is not slated to have any draft picks, right? We weren't slated to have any type of draft picks. Maybe they do trade into it, but with that said, you have to look at him and say, hey, that's almost your draft pick next season. That's your de facto draft pick. Him and maybe Justin Lewis. If Justin Lewis can get, I still think Justin Lewis is going to spend most of the time down in the G. But at the end of the day, like, you got to look at these players and you have to think that in a time where we don't have a lot of free agent capital, we can't go out and sign a bunch of players. Using a player like Dalen Terry to bring in some energy and a new influx of talent needs to be done. We're probably also going to lose Javonte. So.
And I mean, I guess the question is this: when it comes to it, does that mean, right? We've talked a lot about Ayo, we talked a lot about Kobe. Does that mean somebody needs to be signed and probably traded away so that you can get something back, so that there isn't this roadblock ahead of him? Because I think what your hope is that Dalen can be that Lonzo Ball type of player.
I agree that that's what you ideally want his role to be, right? But I do think, that's the thing. I don't think Dalen Terry's long-term position is at the point, but I think that ultimately with Javonte leaving, that's going to open up some minutes anyway. And especially if Kobe, like right now, somebody's moving to the starting lineup. Unless we go out and get a starting level point guard, somebody's moving to the starting lineup. So if it does end up being we're transitioning Kobe into the starting lineup, they may sign a veteran point guard if Ayo isn't ready to go, but you're going to naturally, there's going to be more minutes there anyway. And so if that does happen, I think Dalen is slated to get those minutes. And he just has to perform to keep those minutes.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, I think that that's the tough part, right? Like, I don't know, right, if that is the minutes that he's going to get. I don't know if it's the minutes Ayo is going to get. I don't know, because again, with how the coach is utilizing these players and how the coaching staff is utilizing these players and how how there's been development of these players and all those things, right? Like, I mean, we're having the exact same conversation every single season on, why isn't this guy developing? It took Kobe White 4 years to even start developing in the right direction, and now we got to pay him. That's not how you usually want to develop your players. I get it. They're young players, but there's a lot of young players that can develop. Yeah, Jalen Green is just as old as Kobe White, if I'm not mistaken. Like,
is he? That sounds about right. That's crazy.
I think he's that young. Like, we can't act like, I get it, right? The guys are young. There's young players, but we can't act like there's not younger guys than these guys out there. I guess maybe P. Will, not so much, but who are playing better, who are performing better, who have developed better in the systems that they're in with the coaching staff that they're in.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I guess ultimately we'll see, right? But damn, that's tough, bro. We'll see, man. Hey, I think the world of Dalen, and I really do hold Dalen in high regard, but ultimately it's up to the coaching staff. Like like Billy has to see what we see in Dalen, and Dalen has to continue to perform in that way. I don't want to see nobody giving anything anymore. I want to see everybody earn it. And even Dalen, he has to earn it and keep earning it with the way that he performs every day.
Yeah, man. Let's hope we do. Let's hope we see a little something, because my God, again, when you're betting on continuity, when you're betting on, pieces taking that next step, being the reason you get to the next level, there has to be that part where the piece takes the next step, and we haven't seen that in 3 years. We just haven't. Like even with the Bulls getting better, we didn't see it from Lowry. Lowry got worse. I mean, that's Boylan too, but Lowry got worse. Kobe got worse and then got a little bit better last season, even though his numbers are worse. Io got worse. P. Will was hurt and then kind of just came back as the same guy, even though he worked all offseason with DeMar DeRozan. I can't point to anybody who's developed under this coaching staff. I mean, I guess we can say nope. No, I can't point to anybody.
Kobe's the only one that you can really say.
Who?
Kobe. But even then, I put that more on Kobe that's developed.
Well, I mean, his handle developed.
Yeah.
So with his speed, you knew if he just had a handle, he'd be a better basketball player. I don't know. It's weird. I think Kobe's developed as a defender. I will say that. He's definitely developed as a defender. Sure. I can't take that away from him. But hey, man, we do have to tell you guys about our sponsor before we get into this final topic where Darnell Wright out here dropping them boys off at the Bulls facility up at the UC.
Same thing Zion's doing.
What?
Zion Williamson and porn star
are dropping it off. Anyway,
dropping them off.
Dropping the kids off. Make a fast break to FanDuel during the NBA Finals, guys, because right now new customers get a no sweat first bet up to $2,500. You heard me right. $2,500 at FanDuel right now, guaranteed. Back in bonus bets if your first bet does not win. I mean, there's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sports book. You've got great promotions every day. It's safe and secure. You can get paid instantly off of your winnings. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get a no sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's FanDuel.com/locked on. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA.
All right, let's get into the last topic. The Chicago Bears players were playing ball at the United Center. So I'm going to throw you this one. We'll talk about some of the things and videos that came out of that. But which Chicago Bear do you think is the best basketball player?
That's tough.
I'll tell you who I'm going with, and I'll tell you why.
Who you got?
Tremaine Edmonds. Because I found out Tremaine Edmonds he's what, 6'3", 6'4", but he has an almost 7-foot wingspan. And the diameter of his hands is almost 11 inches. The dude's out here palming football sideways. I think that AK would definitely pick him in the first round. Definitely.
See, AK definitely would pick him because of the wingspan for sure.
Yeah.
Is he 6'3"? I thought he was taller than that, honestly.
I thought he was taller than that too.
He's 6'5".
He's 6'5". Okay, that makes
sense. 6'5", 249. Solid power forward for the Chicago Bulls.
He's too tall. He's a center.
Oh God. He's too tall. But best baller. I mean, it's got to be Justin, right?
I don't know, bro. It's got to be Justin. That form on Justin's shot looked mighty questionable, bro. It gave me Denzel Valentine vibes. And I don't like the way I felt about that, bro. I don't like the way I felt about that.
He definitely hooped like a baseball player. He definitely hooped like a baseball player. I'm trying to think. Wide receiver, DJ Moore. DJ Moore probably a fire hooper. I ain't gonna lie to you. DJ Moore probably got a little game to him. Claypool looked like that dude that can hoop, but like he don't know he can hoop. Like he just tall and can just get to the bucket and like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to grab this ball. Boom. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think, man. Like, I don't know who would be the best out of all of them. No, Tremaine's a good one. Oh, hold on now. Jaquan Brisker?
Oh,
Jaquan Brisker might be a hooper out here.
I can see Jaquan Brisker being an underrated hooper. I could definitely see
Jaquan Brisker, I feel like he's a great defender. See, this is the thing. It's not just all about the offense, too. I feel like Jaquan Brisker is one of them dudes that's like that irritant defender. He's the Pat Bev of the Chicago Bears, doing whatever you need him to do. By the way, he said yesterday he wants to be used in every way. Use him like Dove's soap. So he was talking about on the defensive side.
He's been watching too many Zion videos, looking at that
mean,
Mariah Mills.
Wow. Gotta.
Darnell Wright with the step back three, though, bro. On
Darnell Wright with the step back three caught me off guard. I'm not gonna lie. Edmonds just had to hold that. It's like, dang, dog, like you getting dropped off like that. It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. Yeah. He looks like every big dude that can hoop, though.
They need to watch out because Billy Donovan's scouting the next center right now.
All I'm sitting here talking about is that wouldn't be bad though. What is he? 6'7", 6'8"?
Who, Darnell Wright? Is he
Darnell
that big?
Wright's a big boy. Darnell Wright's a big boy, dog. How tall is Darnell Wright? Our offensive line, bro. Our offensive line is massive.
6'6". He's definitely a center on this roster.
Hey, bro, our offensive line is massive, bro. So like when I be looking at the bus, I'm like, hey, bro, like it's a lot of big bodies on this thing. Tevin Jenkins absolutely can't hoop. I think that's the given. Who are the players that we definitely think can hoop? Cody Whitehair can't hoop.
Tevin Jenkins can't.
Cody can hoop. Dang, that might be it. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, Jack Sanborn might be able to hoop, bro. Nah, Jack Sanborn built like a linebacker. He can't.
I was
hoop.
about to say, you got a little bit more faith than I got in that one. Bro.
He got tiny arms too, so he definitely can't get a layup off.
That's hilarious.
He got the
Braxton
Kobe White
Jones.
joints.
What do you think about Braxton?
I feel like Braxton Jones would be like Cat.
There's a lot of different ways you can go with that.
A lot of bull rushing happened last season. That didn't make it better. A lot of bull rushing happened last season. You know what I mean? When they was just going straight through his chest. So I don't know.
Tony Brothers is here. Somebody had a technical foul. Hey, somebody said that Zion Williamson played more games with Mariah Mills than he played for the New Orleans Pelicans. He took me out, bro. Like that literally, I was done at that point. I was like, that's enough internet today, bro. That's
what Stephen A. Smith said. No wonder he wasn't out there. His lower extremities were compromised. I'm just saying, bro.
Man.
Oh man. So here's the thing. Would you take Zion Williamson? Never mind. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. As far as Bears hoopers go, any coaches that you think can hoop? I think Ryan Poles can hoop.
Oh man.
I bet you Ryan Poles can hoop.
Ryan Poles may be able to hoop, but to me, he comes off as the guy who literally will call every touch foul. And it's like, bro, come on, man. Come on, Ryan. What we doing?
Poles is definitely calling touch fouls, bro. Exactly, like, come on, bro.
Bro.
Listen, bro. I got money to make, baby. You're not touching me. That's hilarious, actually. I feel like Flus can't hoop, but he plays a hell of a defensive game. Like he's that dude that's just standing there with his arms straight out like this, just back and forth like
perfect
a crab.
Defensive form.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like Flus is mad aggressive. Getsy absolutely gets cooked on the court. And Allen Williams is the old head that won't give it up.
That's hilarious. That's funny. That's actually really funny. You know, we forgot about somebody who to me probably don't think any videos came out. I think Tyreek Stevenson could be possibly be underrated.
Tyreek Stevenson might be a baller. I ain't gonna lie to you. Tyreek Stevenson seemed like he might be the dude that's just like you show up to the court and he just 360 dunking for no reason. You're like,
exactly.
What the heck was that?
Just to show that you could do it.
Why you get away with that bar right there? But no, yeah. I think that's about it, man. I don't think nobody else on this team can really hoop, bro. Yeah, it's like 75 guys on this team. I'm not worried about none of them really on the basketball court. They all run me over, but you know,
hey, they all in the right position. That's it. They in the right sport that they should be in.
Hey man, appreciate y'all for showing love. Let's get the heck out of here. Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago.
Yeah, you guys can follow me at CEO Haize, CEO Haize. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. We'll be back Monday. Breaking down anything that happens over the weekend. Let's hope that it's all positive. Let's hope that's what it is. But for Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls. We out here. Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Zion Williamson and porn star.